Can you hear me? Unmute yourself. I told you. There we go.
Voila.
Hey. All right. Well, welcome to Jazz Voices, where we're shining the light on great, phenomenal jazz vocalists from everywhere. And tonight, I have this awesome opportunity to talk to the wonderfully talented singer, songwriter, educator, two-time Grammy nominated René Marie. So, welcome to Jazz Voices Live, Rene.
I'm so glad we're doing this, Kelly.
Yes. Oh.
Thank you so much for this platform.
Oh.
You know, it takes a special personality to do what you're doing, and so
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Oh no, I just think people need to hear music that they might not hear, be exposed to people who they might not be exposed to. So I'm glad to have you here because I love your music. I love your story is amazing and very inspiring. So I wanted to see you live when you were here in Cincinnati, and my daughter had to go in labor, so I couldn't be there. She had a girl.
Is your first grandchild?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Otherwise, I may have missed it just to see René Marie. You had a master class and you had the live performance. I was like, are you kidding me? But anyway.
What's her name?
Her name is Aura. Aura.
I just love it.
Yes.
And she's congratulations.
Awesome. I love her too.
I know you do.
Well, let's talk about, let's start at the beginning. Before you even started recording and all that. You grew up in Virginia? You were born in Virginia. You grew up in Virginia.
Born and raised.
Okay. All right. So what was it like growing up in small town Virginia? Were you an aspiring singer?
I was living under Jim Crow laws the first 10 years of my life. Virginia was a strong holdout to applying civil rights gains that other states had long since been involved in. But Virginia was just stubborn, the capital of the Confederacy, you know, and they lived up to their name. So were we the last state, I think, that finally desegregated? Might have been. So all the attendant things that go with that. But the bright side of it was we had this very vibrant Black community and very close-knit families. We all lived in the same general area, regardless of our income. But I was from a poor family. We didn't know it till later, but it was 7 children, 2 adults, and my mother and father were both teachers.
Wow.
And we lived in a 3-room house. 3-room, not 3-bedroom, children. 3-room with
2 rooms and a kitchen.
with cold running water and no hot water and no indoor plumbing for bathrooms.
Oh wow. Okay.
So you know you develop a certain kind of thing, you know.
Yes, you do.
So
yes, you do.
And then at the age of 10, my parents divorced. My father was an abusive alcoholic, and my mother got the gumption and finally, and she finally left him. And well, she's just from nothing, she built this great legend from herself, you know, out of herself, out of the pieces that were left over. And she's the strongest woman I know, still kicking it at 96. Yes.
Wow. Wow. So you have 7. There's 7 of you. Where do you fall in the siblings?
I'm the youngest girl.
Oh.
Baby girl.
Baby girl. Okay. What's that like growing up in a big family? There had to be a lot of music. There had to be, you know, something that inspired you.
My mother and father, being educators, They insisted that we learn poetry, that we memorize poetry, that we have something to show for the space we were taking up on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be rambling around somewhere. You had to, some people had to be able to point to you and say, this child is good at such and such.
Mm-hmm.
That was the way we were raised. And my father listened to all kinds of music, including opera and bluegrass and everything in between,
Okay.
except jazz, honey. He did not
Oh,
listen to jazz, neither one of them.
really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it
That's
is.
interesting. So why jazz for you? Why did you pick
I
jazz?
heard it one day when I was 17. I went to see Lady Sings the Blues, this biopic about Billie Holiday, but I didn't know who Billie Holiday was. I just knew that Diana Ross was singing in it, and I wanted to see Diana Ross.
Right. Right.
So I go and I'm
Same.
listening to this music and thinking, what kind of music is this? Now I've heard classical, opera, I know all this stuff, but what is this? And
Right.
after the movie was over, I went straight to the music store and bought um, the music, all the music that was in the movie. It was in book form because I played the
Okay.
piano. I skipped over that.
Okay.
Didn't mean to,
Okay.
but that was
Yeah.
how I
Yeah.
came to jazz. It was through that
Okay.
movie.
Okay. Same. Same. I
Oh yeah.
same. I did not know who Billie Holiday was either. And I just when I saw Diana Ross singing Good Morning Heartache, and I just was like, and my parents, they would sit at the piano and sing all kind of to
Hmm.
jazz tunes. I didn't know it was jazz. I was like, that's old music. That's just old fashioned music.
Old fashioned.
but
That's
but I fell in love with it. But anyways, your interview. So
wow. How fast.
so you got married at
I got
18.
married at 18
Wow.
because I joined this religion
Oh, okay.
that was very strict in their rules, and uh, the boyfriend I was dating at the time, both he and I were interested in this religion.
Mm.
And in order to conform to the teachings of this religion,
Hmm.
they encouraged us to get married because we're doing the thing that teenagers do when
Right.
they're dating. And
Right.
they were saying,
Right.
well, if you did that, you have to get married. And
Uh-huh.
so, being gullible and naive, but thinking we knew everything, who doesn't think that when they're
Right.
18 and 19? We
Right.
went ahead
Right.
and got married.
Right.
And I
Right. Right.
stayed married for 20 some years.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you were both in an R&B, if I'm saying this correctly. You were in an R&B band. Is that
Hmm.
how you? That's how you met.
Yes, he
Okay.
played piano, and I
Okay.
was the singer in the band.
All right. All right.
And we met when
So
I was 15, he was 16.
okay.
Child.
Yeah. 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 That was.
It's all right.
Nothing else could have happened. but,
You gotta you gotta
but
be
what
on some
happened?
kind of path, Ain't nothing wrong with it.
So you always wanted to be a singer. You always wanted to do that. Like,
Oh yes.
yeah.
I have to say this. I remember being so young, 3 or 4, and being so feeling these feelings that would seem to be too big for my body. I would
Mm-hmm.
be overwhelmed with this connection that I had to music. Like if we were in the house on Saturday doing chores, and a song came on that my father was playing on the record player that I really liked, I would have to stop what I was doing and just let the emotions that the music was bringing up
Mm-hmm.
flow over me. I
Mm.
My other brothers and sister, they might be singing along, but they were still just doing. But I just had to stop, and I could hear the harmony, and I could hear
Mm.
the rhythm, even though I hadn't been taught it. I
Right.
just seemed to um, innately
Mm-hmm.
have this attachment, strong attachment, and it is just as strong today.
Mm.
Music just has its way with me, honey, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't do nothing. I just
Yeah. That's good.
come on, let's go.
So when did you start playing the piano?
I started at maybe 9.
Okay.
I had a few months of piano just before my mother left my dad. And as a
Okay.
matter of fact, it was her buying the piano that set things in motion. Like this was the
Mm.
straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the abuse she suffered as a result of this independent act. She had saved up, saved up, saved up money,
Mm-hmm.
where she's supposed to be, turning it over to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So she
Mm-hmm.
bought the piano. It became a huge thing between them, and she left that piano behind and bought another one.
So you were destined. So is that all the formal training that you have,
Yes, I
or
had
music?
a
Yeah.
year, about a year when I was 9, and then another year when I was 15.
Yeah, because see, you write, you compose, I mean, where does that come from? Where does the ability to
Well,
sing?
you don't have to have theory to
Yeah,
compose music because music was being composed well before there was any theory. You
yeah,
know, well before there were people teaching this is a such and such chord and this is a
yeah.
such rhythm. It's a natural thing that comes out of us. So I
Not all of
a little
us.
bit. No, not everybody, but
Yeah, right.
it naturally does come.
Yeah, yeah.
It
I see
doesn't
what you're
have to be taught in a
saying.
book or you know what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, I do. I do.
So,
I got you. I got you.
yeah.
So you were married for 23 years. At what point during your marriage did you start singing jazz or performing? I guess because your husband didn't want you to do that apparently, and
Well, that
then
must have been year 22.
okay.
No, maybe I think it was maybe it's 2 or 3 years before our marriage ended. Um, I was at home. Well, I started listening to Ella. I had a cassette tape of Ella and Sarah
Mm,
and Cleo Lane.
Cleo Lane,
Cleo
Dame
Lane.
Cleo.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know where I got that from. I have
yeah.
no idea. But I would listen to it and I memorized those songs the way they sang them.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, because I didn't know any better, I thought the way they sang it was like the way to sing it. So
Right.
I would sing them at home all the time. And my son was in college by this time, and he was at a restaurant, and he called me from the restaurant and said, "You got to come up here and listen to this woman. She's singing the songs that you sing, same songs you sing at home, but she's terrible, Mom." So I dropped what I was doing and I went up there, and I looked at my son and I said, "Wow, I can't believe she's getting paid to do this because she was not a terrible singer. She was just boring. You
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm-hmm.
was
Right.
boring. The band was bored with her boredom. The
Mm-hmm.
people in the restaurant were bored. Nobody was listening to her. The
Right.
musicians were watching the TV over the bar while they were playing. And
Right.
my son and I, we were just like, "What? I can't believe they're treating this music with such, disrespect.
Right.
Where
Right.
is the respect?" And so he says, "Mom, you could do that."
Mm-hmm.
And I was in my 40s, maybe 42. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard for him to say, "You
Mm-hmm.
could do that, Mom." And I said, "Boy, I'm too old to be." Nobody gets started in their 40s, Michael. He says, "Yeah, Mom, you could, Mom." You know how our children can be very convincing.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Uh-huh.
So we went home and talked about it as a family, and my husband said, "Oh yeah, that would be a good hobby for you." So we had a friend who had his own quintet, and I called him right away and said, "Hey, can I sing with your band sometimes?" He says,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah, we're having jam sessions every Wednesday." So at the Ramada Inn, this dark, smoky basement
Yeah.
in the Ramada Inn.
Yeah,
That
because you
was
could
where I
smoke
cut
back
my
then,
teeth.
right?
Yes,
You could smoke
yes,
inside.
you could smoke
Right.
inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned how to hold a microphone, even though I had sung
Mm-hmm.
as an R&B.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a teenager, you don't really care, and you're
Yeah.
just having fun. But as an adult
Right.
in my 40s, I knew there was a certain presence I had to present.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so I learned how to scat. I learned how to count the tune off. The musicians were great. They were so supportive, even though I thought I was just doing it for a hobby or just to have fun, something different to do. But
Mm-hmm.
within a year's time, I had gotten my own trio and worked on my own charts in my own key and gotten some gigs, my own gigs,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the point where my husband told me, "You got to stop. This is getting to be too much. So you need to stop."
Oh, it was
Yeah.
just taking too much of your time and
So he said,
too
both
much.
the
Yeah.
sons were in college.
Right.
So it wasn't like I had more time, not
Mm-hmm.
less.
Right. Right. Right.
But because I had promised him if he didn't want me to do it, I would stop like a good little obedient wife. I stopped for about three
Mm,
months.
okay.
And
Huh.
then I just was about to burst. I was about to
Yeah.
burst. And I begged him, please, what is it you want me to do? Whatever it is, I'll do it. Just please, 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 please. And so he wrote out this list of things he wanted me to do if I was going to sing. And
Okay.
I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. You got it. And I started singing again.
Okay. Okay. And there came a point when it just didn't work out. It just wasn't going to work out like that.
Well,
Mm. Or
I was
just.
doing fine and we were getting ready to record our first CD. And the night before, we had reserved the studio, we had rehearsed the songs. And the night before, my husband came upstairs where I was getting the charts, making sure I had the charts in order. And he says, call them right now and cancel the recording and
Mm,
cancel all of your gigs. You're not going to be singing anymore.
oh,
And I said, no,
that's probably not going to
that's
work.
not. I didn't say it like that. I was really scared.
Yeah.
I was scared of him. And
Yes.
I had kind of
Yes.
perpetuated what my mother had been through with.
Yes. Yes. I
So,
can understand that. Yeah.
so he says, if you go tomorrow, don't come back home because if you do, you're going to have hell to pay. So I asked him if he was threatening me, and he says, no, I'm not threatening you. It's a promise. You just try it and see what happens. So I thought, well, Lord, I did try to figure out when is the right time to leave, and I think it is tonight. So I picked up my music and I got a suitcase and was putting my clothes in there. And that's when it got violent.
Okay.
He became abusive, physically abusive toward me.
Mm,
And after it was all over, I asked him if he was through. And he said yes.
mm,
So I picked up my music and my suitcase and I left. And I never, ever went back.
mm,
And I want
mm,
to be clear, Kelly,
mm-hmm.
my leaving was not about, I got to sing. I just have to sing and I've got to choose music over everything. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
My
Mm-hmm.
leaving was about not, was setting boundaries of how I would be talked to and treated. And I had kept my head down and my mouth shut for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And, something happens to you
Yeah.
in your 40s. You remember?
Yeah.
You remember? You remember?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I
So,
understand completely. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
thing happened to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I would rather be alone than have
Mm-hmm.
to live with somebody who thinks that they can issue an ultimatum, whether it was, "Hey, cook my dinner, or else get out," or "Wash these clothes, or iron my shirt this way, or else you can get out." You don't
Right.
want to live with anybody that
Oh
has that
yeah.
type of control over you.
Right. 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 And you got married so young too. So
I
it's
did. I
you
was a
know, yeah,
baby.
you were a baby.
Girl, when I look at those our wedding pictures, I just every time I just go, oh my poor Renee, poor Renee. But I was in love. I was
Oh
in love.
yeah, but you know what? I think too, those years, I'm sure, gave you so much um, to be able to write about, to just inspire you to,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
you do.
I'm sure you wouldn't do it over. And you're a courageous performer. It took a lot of courage to step out of a 23-year relationship, and I think it carries over in the rest of your life. You know how you handle everything. You perform with abandonment. It's a joy to see you perform. It takes a lot of courage. Um,
I remember my when you say perform with abandonment. Um, my sister-in-law, who was also in the same religion,
mhm.
I remember they came to one of my very first concerts, and she came up to me afterwards and said, "Renee, you need to be careful about your facial expressions." And I put my hands up to my face like this. I said, "What did I do?" And she said, "You had some looks on your face that I only have when my husband and I are being intimate." And
Mm,
I could have just sunk down to the floor because
mhm.
that was just a definite no-no. You know,
Right.
to show that in my face or in my body, anything that smacked of passion, or
Mhm.
deep feeling,
Mhm.
you had to
Mhm.
cut that off. Don't, get rid of this and
Wow.
get rid of that until you were just a little square box.
Wow. Wow.
So I
Wow.
was horrified when she first told me, and I tried to change it. But the more I sang, the more my face said, "Mm-mm, we got."
Well, that's part of telling the story, and you tell the
You know
story
it.
so
Yeah.
well. I'm so captivated when I'm watching you, or even when I'm
Oh,
listening to
you're
your live
sweet.
recordings. I'm like,
You
yes.
are so sweet.
But
I
what?
can't hold it back, gal. I
Yeah,
had
no,
to.
you can't. You obviously can't. And what inspired me more than anything I think you've ever done is the YouTube. Oh, well, not the YouTube. When you sang the national anthem,
Oh yeah,
I was like, is she getting ready? She done
I did.
changed up the words, and everybody's face was like,
She done changed up the word.
that is not the national anthem. That is the Black national anthem. And I'm dying because I just looked at it and I'm like, yes,
That was a
we're,
whole
we're
thing.
best friends. Yes. How did you feel? Did you get a lot of backlash from that?
I got a lot of death threats.
Death threats? Are
Hmm.
you serious?
Hmm. I got a
What?
lot of death threats
Are you
because
kidding
it was.
me?
I sang it at the mayor's State of the City address,
Mm-hmm.
and so when we were done, when the whole thing was over, he was inundated with calls about that. And he called me and said, "You've got to do something. You've got to issue an apology because our office can't work for all
Oh
these
my
phone
God.
calls and emails we're getting." And I said,
Wow.
"Well, just give them my phone number and my email address." I said, "You can do."
Oh
I
my
wasn't thinking.
God. You think they were really going to call you and email you?
I figured it was
Oh
about
my
three or
God.
four that he was exaggerating, that he just wanted
Yeah.
me to apologize. But I said, "I'm not going to apologize."
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can, yeah, you can do that. So when he did that, that's when the floodgates opened.
Wow.
And yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And you were signed to Max Jazz at the time, right? Or I think, yeah,
Yes, I
I'm pretty
was.
sure.
I
Okay. And that,
was.
that didn't, it didn't affect your any dealings with them, did it?
No, no, I
Okay.
have to
I mean,
say that,
nobody else cared but the people that were there.
well, it turned out a lot of people who heard about it, they definitely cared and they
Yeah.
pissed off. And some of them were extremely proud of me,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was some people that just said, "Well, why did you do that? What what were you trying to?" They were genuinely confused.
Mm-hmm.
So it ran the gamut.
So what did prompt you to do that?
Um, I was in Russia being interviewed, and the interviewer asked me, she said, "So, as an American, what would you say about such and such?" She asked me about a political thing going on. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember the question. I just remember she called me an American, and I almost corrected her and said, "Oh, you're mistaken. I'm not, no, I'm not American. I'm the thought, that you have the thought and you get ready to say it." And then I realized, oh my God, why did I just think to myself that I'm not an American? What?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So on the plane trip home, I did a lot of writing, like trying to get to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized, I was raised in, like I started off under Jim Crow, and
Mm-hmm.
I loved our patriotic tunes, God Bless America and My Country 'Tis of Thee, and all the sang it with pride. But I also realized that flag flew from buildings that we were not allowed to go in. And yet they want us to have the same respect for the flag and the Constitution and this country.
Right.
And so I was just pissed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Things
Yes.
will come out. You can't, you don't know when stuff is going to come out, but it got to come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I thought, well, what if I took these treasured songs for that the US holds so dear, and instead put a African American vibe on it.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose I use jazz, blues, and gospel. That's our,
Mm-hmm.
because we
Mm-hmm.
never were asked to participate. We
Mm-hmm.
never would have been considered to participate in writing the songs that ended up becoming, part of the catalog for love for the US.
Right.
Black people just would never have been asked. And I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so as an artist, we're thinking creatively. We're thinking, how can I express this in another way?
Right.
That's what we do, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And
Right.
so that was what I did. I decided I'm going to do this. I'm so scared to death of doing it, but I'm going to do it.
And you did it too. I just watched you and you sang that thing. You held that mic and you just opened yourself up to whatever was going to happen. That's that's what I noticed. And I was very proud of you. So I
Thank you,
was very proud of
sweetie.
you. So
My
all right.
husband was proud of me too. My second husband, I
Your
think.
second husband. Okay, all right.
He was proud.
So you did get married again.
I
Um,
did.
and is he a musician or in the business or?
No, he's not. He does know music, but he can't really play. And
Hmm.
I say that because his father played saxophone, and his father taught him just enough so that Jesse could comp on the piano while the band had a rehearsal.
Oh, okay.
So he knows theory, but he doesn't know how to play.
Hmm.
Whereas I know how to play, but my theory is not so good. But
Hmm.
he loves music, and as a matter of fact, that's how we met. We met
Okay.
as a result of me singing. So it's a long story, but it's
Yeah.
very,
Yeah. How
very.
long? How long have you been married?
It's going to be June 21st is our anniversary.
Okay.
So it's going to be 16 years, I think.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we got married in '06. Yeah, 16 years.
16 years. Wonderful.
Mhm.
Wonderful. I'm glad. I'm glad. So
He's such a
he
sweet,
supports you all the way. That's
all
apparent.
the way, all the way. I love him.
Yeah. So, do you ever consider venturing into another genre of music? Your music really is not like it's jazz, but
Yeah,
it's so much more,
yeah.
So you do a lot of folk
Hmm.
sounding things. So, You ever think about doing a gospel album or R&B for that
Not a
matter?
gospel, not a whole album,
Or just
but I do like mixing it up. You know,
hmm yeah.
for instance, on the CD "Voice of My Beautiful Country" that has the national anthem and "Lift Every Voice and Sing" and all that.
hmm
One of the songs on there is a medley of "Imagination," which is a jazz standard, and "Just My Imagination"
Mm,
by the Temptations. You know,
hmm
and
hmm
I love singing those two songs together
Yeah.
because it just brings back, it has a vibe. Just My
hmm
Imagination's got a vibe.
Oh yeah, for sure, for
And
sure.
it sets it up very nicely, singing the ballad first, imagination is funny, blah, blah, blah.
hmm hmm
The last line is, if you could only love me too. And then the bass, boom, tick,
Yeah.
bing, boom, bing,
Oh, yeah.
bing,
Yeah, yeah.
bing, boom. Everybody
Yeah.
say, oh, yeah.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, yeah.
So I get it. I kind of get it out that way. But to do
hmm
a whole album, I don't think I could do that.
You don't think you could do that.
Just like I couldn't
Okay.
do a whole album of just jazz standard. I did that
Yeah.
one time, maybe my first album, and
hmm
I guess it's just not me. I have to branch out, include
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
this, a little bit of that.
Love that. Yeah. So your first album was independently produced. You produced it
Yeah,
yourself. Or
Renaissance. Mm-hmm.
Renaissance. Yes. So that
Hmm.
was in '99, and then How Can I Keep from Singing was
Yes.
under Max
Yeah.
Jazz, and then you had three other albums under Max
Right.
Jazz.
Right.
And then you did Experiment in Truth.
Yeah,
And you
that
that
was
was
a personal release. Like I wasn't on a label. I left the label deliberately. I just wanted to see what else I could do. I didn't like following the rules after my stint with that religion. I just had real
hmm
comfort of somebody else being able to call the shots for me.
okay,
So,
okay, okay.
but
Well,
then we were picked up by um, Motema, the Motema,
hmm hmm
and we did 4 CDs under that.
okay. So you have plans to record more? What you thinking about?
Yes, I'm thinking about you know, during the start of the pandemic, my mom, she's still doing quite well, but she's 96 and slowed down quite a bit. She's lost her vision, and
Mm,
my brother and I take turns looking after her.
okay.
So I can't be on the road like I was. I do about 1 gig a month at the most.
Oh, okay.
Although this month I have 2 gigs because we had to cancel one from last month. So I've got a gig coming up in Winnipeg, the Winnipeg Jazz Festival. Just me
Okay.
and Dawn Clement on.
Okay.
She'll be on piano. Nice little duet. I love her.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay.
And then a thing at the end of the month in New York at the Harlem Theater with Gerald Clayton.
Oh,
This
wow.
blues show, Piedmont Blues, that he's developed. It is amazing multimedia
Yeah.
project with tap dancers and a choir and
Mm.
uh, video, and I'm singing and doing a little bit of spoken word. It
hmm
is just, mm,
That
I
sounds good.
love that show.
That sounds good. Yes, I would love to see that. Would
Yeah.
love to.
Where are
Yeah.
you? Where do you live?
I live in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, that's right.
That's why you're right down the road from Cincinnati. I was like, yes, I'm going to go see René
Right.
Marie. And so you have to come back.
I would
That's all
love
there's
to.
to it. You have to come back.
I loved singing with those musicians.
Yeah, you sang with,
Concert.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. After
It's
I
just,
heard them, I was like, okay, I know what charts to bring next time.
yeah, right,
It's gonna be on.
right. Oh man. I just before I let you go, I do want to talk about your one woman show.
Okay.
And tell me about that. How did that come about? What's called
How did
slut
that?
energy theory.
Yes. Well, this friend of mine and I, we were drinking a couple of bottles of wine, and she started talking about how hard it was being in a relationship when you have creative things you want to express, because the energy it takes, the energy the relationship takes to keep it healthy, pulls you away from this creative thing we have. And
Right.
she says we constantly juggling it, but she says almost all the time the majority of the energy is given to the relationship. She said our slut energy goes into the relationship, and I howled with laughter. I thought that was the best phrase I ever heard in my life. Slut energies. Oh,
Slut
I said
energy.
that is the
Okay,
perfect what?
that's good.
So she was
That's
using it tongue in cheek, of
good.
course.
Of
But
course, yeah.
the whole idea was to uh, portray a story of an uneducated black woman who grew up in the South and was under the influence and the hard thumb of her father, who was very religious and whose mother and twin brother died in childbirth.
Okay.
So
Wow.
she was part of a set of twins, but her mother died and her brother died. And so the
Okay.
father blames the little girl throughout her life. He's harsh and he's abusive. And it's basically her telling her story from the perspective of she is dead now and in heaven and
Mm,
talking about her life. And she
mm.
says, I'm up here in heaven. I can say whatever the hell I want.
Well, oh, that's good.
And on she goes.
That's good. And you will never do that again? You've got to do that
I didn't
again.
say I wouldn't do it. I would
Okay,
love
do
to
it
do it
again.
again. I would love to.
Yeah. You have so many different talents, I tell you.
Oh, it's a
So
lot
many.
going on. And I'm sure you do too. We
Yeah,
all do.
yeah,
We just
yeah,
need the outlet. We need time
yeah,
and encouragement and the outlet, somewhere to just let it go,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
That's
tough.
true. That's true.
It
That's
can be
very
tough.
true. That's very true. Okay, well, where do you see yourself? I know you're taking care of your mother, um, but where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you think your career will be? It's hard to say.
I don't even think along those lines. How can I?
Yeah, I know it's hard, isn't it? It's
Yes,
yeah,
because think about it. If
yeah.
I start thinking about what my career is going to be, that
Hmm.
means I won't have my mother around.
I know.
And I don't want to think like
That's
that.
it. Yeah,
So I just try to
yeah,
think in the now.
yeah.
Just yeah, just think in the here and the now,
Mm-hmm.
and try to be happy where I am.
That's
It's
the best.
hard though, I will say this, it's really hard to see my contemporaries, doing all these things, and I think, oh, that's right. Oh, well,
Yeah,
how come I not? Oh, that's right.
yeah. Oh wow.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm doing
Yeah.
this. That's right. And then I
Well,
call them.
yeah, right. It's a journey though. So, you never know. These experiences are always uh, building things within us that we will be able to express one
Mhm.
day, one day.
That's
So,
right.
so,
That's
yeah.
our life
Well,
experiences form the fodder for our creativity. It's what we
right.
write. We write from what we
Mhm.
know. We
That's
sing
right.
from what we know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's right.
Ain't nothing
Well,
wrong.
I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me.
Girl, I thank
I
you. I
I've
think
enjoyed it immensely,
I can't believe
and
how quickly it went.
I know we've been on here a while, and I could go a little further, but I know anyway. I'm going to let you go. Be polite and let you go, and let people know where to follow you. Your website is renemarie.com, and you're
Hmm.
you're all over social media. Facebook and Twitter. I think you're on Twitter, aren't you?
Twitter.
Facebook,
Hmm.
Twitter, Instagram, all of that. And I hope to be able to see you live soon.
Thank you, sweetie.
Yeah.
I'm wishing you the
Yeah.
best, and
Yeah.
you enjoy that little granddaughter of yours.
I'm
I'm
going to do my
jealous.
best. She's all the way in Austin, Texas.
Still,
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best. I was thinking about moving to Austin, all that. I was
I
like,
know
I'm
that's
just gonna
right. I
move.
know it. I told my sons, if you ever have a baby, I'm there. Just get ready to have
Yeah,
room for me.
right, exactly, exactly. Okay, well, thank you once again for
All right,
joining me,
sweetie. Thank
and
you, Kelly.
take care. Have a good
Keep on
evening.
doing what you're doing. I wish you
All
the
right,
best.
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.